everybody, Little Gamer here, and welcome to a brand new video. Today we are recreating the Pancake household, and by recreating, I mean we are giving them a makeover. I actually changed a lot with the Pancake household. Bob and Eliza are divorced in this household. Of course I was gonna, in my game I have them moved out from each other and, but just for simplicity's sake, I have them all in the same household for now. Now, I really wanted to make Bob, well, I wanted him to have like a happier life and be pretty, not cheerful, but not as gloomy as he usually is. And I wanted to change his look a bit. But, not too much so that it's still Bob. Now, I like to think that Eliza and Bob, they kept arguing and they just weren't getting along, and neither one of them were happy in this marriage anymore. And this isn't the 1940s or 60s or 30s or the 1600s. So, you can get a divorce for just about any reason nowadays. And they finally decided that, you know what, this wasn't working and they needed to divorce. And so they did. Now, later on, you will see her, but Bob actually has a new wife. But you will meet her later, and I'll tell you more about her later. But with Bob and Eliza, they finally decided to divorce. Now, neither one of them had Iggy. They didn't have Iggy to try and save their marriage. They weren't intimate at all. And they didn't adopt anyone, so, which is great for the kid. Never have a kid to try and quote-unquote fix your relationship. And don't stay in a relationship for the kid, Never say, oh, we're just going to stay together for the kid. No, don't. That's a recipe for disaster. I'm not a relationship genius, as I've been single my entire life. But being single means I can observe, and I can learn from other people's mistakes. So I've done that quite a bit. And I'm like, yeah, not that. But yes, with Bob, usually he had a pretty down-to-earth tone and pretty, relaxed PJ kind of style and outfits. And while yes, I wanted to keep that a little bit, I also wanted to ensure that he came out into his own and started feeling more able to explore with his fashion and really everything, because I think it was because the gloomy trait, I like to think that trait's just like, a trait you give your Sims to show that they're depressed or they have depression or they struggle with it. And I like to think that really it was his marriage with Eliza and their relationship, if that's what you could call it. It was just so toxic and so suffocating that he was suffering from depression. He couldn't please Eliza. Even if he tried his best multiple times, he just couldn't please her or make her happy. And every time he tried to talk to her, it was an argument. And really, he was just like, yeah, you know what, I'm not even going to try anymore. And so, of course, that's why he was pretty depressed. It was just his surroundings, his relationships, everything. He didn't really leave the house too much, and he was only really with Eliza and everything. And, well, I was pretty depressed because of it. And so I decided that I wanted Bob and Eliza to have a better life, to get along with one another, sort of, or at least, be amicable towards one another. And so I had them get divorced, and yeah, I've been rambling for about 4 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm super tired right now. You'd think after my 2 a.m. rambles I'd learn not to record while tired, but nope, we're just raw dogging this. But yeah, that's basically what I had them in my game do, and kind of what's happened here. Now that Bob and Eliza are divorced, Bob has also begun to express himself more, and he's a lot happier now. He's more content with things. He works as a chef, and he's also gotten a couple of hobbies lately. Um, Now, I can't remember if I added that to him so that when you download him, you see those hobbies, but in my game, I have him doing woodworking and gardening, and of course, cooking and baking. But he gets outside more often. Now, Bob doesn't do exercise. I don't think he wants to do exercise a lot. He doesn't really have much of an interest into it. So he has not taken up the hobby of exercise or athletics. But he has decided to, as you can see, he's changed up his fashion. I just wanted to give him something that seemed, well, it made him feel to me like he was finally happy with himself and happy with his life, and or at the very least content. And yes, there are days that he'll probably struggle with depression, as once you have depression, it never really goes away. But I did remove the gloomy trait from him because I don't think he's suffering from depression as badly or as much anymore now that he's divorced Eliza. And honestly, like, thank goodness for him. Um, just, I'm so happy that they're, divorced finally. As you can see, I'm changing a lot of his traits. I don't know if I changed all of them or just some of them, but you can see I definitely got rid of that gloomy trait, and I gave him love the outdoors because, he's out there gardening, fishing, actually, and I think he's doing a couple of other things. Oh, I gave him dislikes handiness, and I said his happy was handiness. I'm sorry, it's been about 2 weeks since I recorded this video, and I'm just now looking at it, and I'm trying to voice over it as it goes past, so I can't remember everything. But yeah, he's actually, I also like to think that Bob is in therapy, and that now that he's in therapy, now that he's divorced Eliza, and now that he's got a new wife, who in my game is actually pregnant, but you don't have the pregnant version of her in what's going to be on the gallery. But yeah, I like to think that he's just moved on with his life. He's happier. He's far more well adjusted. Now, as you can see, we're at Eliza, and like, Bob just ran into Eliza. Me talking about Bob ran into Eliza's first few seconds, but I don't know if I worked too hard on Eliza. I can't remember how long it took me to make her, but I do know that I struggled a bit with her glasses and her hair. I like to think after the divorce, Eliza decided, you know what, it's a new day, new life, new me. And so she went out, she bought new glasses for herself, and she let her hair grow out, and she got it restyled. And she decided to look at catalogs and fashion magazines to try and get, God, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh goodness, I can't remember the word. Just inspiration, so that she could get some inspiration on what kind of makeup style she wanted to play with. Now, I know with Eliza, I struggled with her clothes a lot. Look, I love Eliza, but when it comes to giving her something, I don't know what to make her wear. I just know that she cannot continue to wear what she was previously wearing. Otherwise, I would have lost my mind. 'Cause, oh god, EA, do better, please. Now, I did want to keep Eliza in, like, green, minty tones. I wanted to keep her clothing light and pastel coated. Also, I think that after divorcing, Bob, well, really, it was Bob who divorced Eliza. He's the one who's like, hey, here's the papers, sign them, I'm done. But I think afterwards, Eliza, she got into therapy as well. And I like to think that it is doing wonders for her. She's going in depth, trying to understand why she is the way she is, why she was so high maintenance, and if it really is just her being high maintenance, or if there's some underlying reason. And now this is a, quote unquote EA canon, and I am so sorry for all the noises you're hearing. My cat keeps trying to mess with my ear, and yeah. He's a sweet kitty. He's just curious on what the hell I'm putting on my head, which is my headphones, and he doesn't like it. But yeah, I like to think that. Now, this isn't canon, obviously. EA is not like, this is the reason why Eliza is the way she is. But whenever I make Sims and I work on Sims, even if I didn't create the Sims, I like to give them bits of like childhood backstories and other things. Most times I just keep it in my head because sometimes I say it out loud and then people are like, "What the fuck?" Honestly, what the fuck? What are you thinking? And yeah, I don't like confrontation. um, but yes, with Eliza, I like to think that she actually had a pretty dysfunctional childhood. Um, I like to think that her mom drank a lot of juice from the juice bar. I mean, we know what it is in The Sims. We know what it actually is, but you know. Um, and that her dad wasn't really around. He didn't, like, go and get the milk and never return. He was just at work all the time, constantly working and coming home. And instead of, spending time with Eliza, bonding with her, getting to know his child, and actually raise her, he was just like, hey, here's food, here's your basic needs met, which, yeah, great. Wonderful for meeting the child's basic needs. Everyone should meet their child's basic needs, especially if they can. And if you can't, I don't know what else to say because there's that's a whole topic that we can go into, and I don't have the energy to go in that topic. um, but emotionally, Eliza had nobody, and there was nowhere she could learn proper emotional maturity because her parents were constantly arguing. Uh, I don't know what her mom's name was or anything. I don't have any specific names, but I like to think the whole. I'm pretty sure you guys can if you've ever seen those 60s sitcoms with you got the housewife and you got the husband that's always working and he's just like, blah 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 blah, Meredith, how could you? And Meredith is just like, well, you never pay attention to me, William. Those kinds of things. I like to think that her parents argued a lot and they weren't there for her emotionally, and so the only ways that she could equate any form of love and care was through getting gifts, money, and she thought that perfectly healthy relationships involved arguing. Lots of arguing and not being able to budge. And, well, yeah, the arguing made her feel bad. She just thought, oh, I must be weird. And she just kept doing it. And the therapist is like, sweetie, no, that's not how that works. That's not normal. You had a dysfunctional childhood. We need to unpack that. That'll be $400. uh, but, yeah, I like to think that Eliza had a bit of a rough childhood. I mean, she's very privileged. She had money and everything, but emotionally she did not have what she needed. And, of course, there's also a huge pressure on Eliza from a young age to constantly succeed and overachieve. And, to have the prettiest house, the biggest boat, the keep up with the Joneses, but not just keep up with them, outdo them. So, which, by the way, as someone who's grown up in the South, that is something that I see and have personally witnessed. And, it's not fun. Especially when you consider that the majority of the areas that I grew up with, we were poor. So, trying to keep up with the Joneses was, let's see if we can make our food stamps last a little longer. That was my childhood, but, it wasn't the worst one, but this isn't about me. This is about Eliza. But, yeah, she was always told to outdo the Joneses, and she had to be the overachieving person. I might make Eliza's family. I might, in, a later video, because I'm just going through my pre-recorded videos and doing voiceovers, because I was on vacation. That vacation was not a vacation. It was awful. I mean, I try to look at things through the positive light. I mean, it wasn't as bad as it could be. We could have died, but we didn't. But, yeah, if you ever go to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, that area, words. If you go to the Gatlinburg/Pigeon Forge area, do not rent a cabin. especially from, I forgot the name of the place. I'd have to remember it, but we went there, no signs. They said that the mountain was all paved and that the parking was level. Yeah, I get it, it's a mountain, but we're flatlanders, so we naively trust the advertisement we were told. No, it was not level. We nearly fell off a mountain. Twice. I had a come apart. If you're not southern, that means I had a panic attack. uh, yeah, it was awful. But it was very beautiful country. I will be going up there again, but I will be renting a hotel as opposed to a cabin. But yeah, we're, we're about to actually meet, I think, Bob's wife here soon. Um, I am so sorry that I am so spacey today. My brain is still in the Appalachian Mountains. But yes, now this is, we're just going to jump straight into Opal over here. She is Bob's new wife. Opal, I created her myself. I love her to pieces. If you don't want her in there, you can literally just delete her from the thing. But she's the wife that I've given Bob. But yes, she probably looks like she's pretty high maintenance, but she's not. She's actually pretty relaxed. And in fact, she's very... I sort of based her off of myself, as well as a couple of my great-grandmothers, as well as some of the other women I've grown up around. She's not going to take your shit. If you treat her bad, or you're rude, or, you're an asshole, she'll tell you where the hell you can go with that attitude. She'll just knock you upside the head with that skillet. She won't hesitate. She'll beat you with a skillet. But, when it comes to Bob, they met at, like, a cafe, and she was the waitress there, and she was just, and she could just tell he was struggling, and she's like, "What's wrong, honey? What's wrong, baby doll?" Now, I'm from the South, so, calling people, even complete strangers, things like baby doll, sweetie, honey, sweet pea, darling, dearest one, love, it's ingrained in the culture. It's a habit that we all have. And it's not to belittle anybody. It's not to be like, "Oh my goodness, you're lower than me, so I'm just not going to respect any of you." No, it's genuinely just a cultural thing, and it's a habit that we all really possess. So she was just like, "What's wrong, baby doll? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's the matter? And tell me about your day. What's wrong? Would you like some coffee?" And, yeah, she'd listen to him, and she's like, "Oh, honey, that's awful. That's just awful." Or he'd tell her something, or he'd come in a good mood, and he'd tell her about, like, a promotion he had at work, and she's like, "Oh, that's wonderful, baby doll. Let's get you some extra pancakes. It's on me, baby." And, yeah, it was just, that's how they met. They met at her work, and they just hit it off. She's a very nurturing kind of individual. She's very sweet, and I think she suits Bob very well, and Bob suits her very well. Now, now I'm not gonna lie. When you're in the South and you're a woman in the South, you kind of grow up with the whole "you have to take care of everybody" mentality, because if you don't, it's not gonna get done. And sadly, it's a truth in this area. Trust me, it's a personal one. The only one who cleans my house, if it's not my mom cleaning it, it's me cleaning it, and it's hard. 2 boys, perfectly capable. Do they help? Very rarely. But that's just me complaining. Don't you listen to me. But that's just how she grew up, and so she has a habit of trying to do too much. And but Bob, since he's grown as a person, and he's out of, like, his depression funk, he's like, "No, no, 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 I got this, you leave this to me, I got it." Or she'll come home from a shift fully expecting to have to do all the dishes, and they'll be completely clean. The kitchen will be spotless. Laundry will be folded. And she's like, "Who is this man? I couldn't be able to tell you who he was from Adam. Absolutely not. I don't know." But they suit each other very well, and Opal's very sweet, and she's very nurturing. And on the rare days that Bob does have one of his episodes, like the depression gets a hold of him, she's just like, you sleep, baby doll. I'll go get you some food. But, yeah. Anyway, other than the fact that I rambled through this entire thing, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye-bye!